Well, I still don't have a proper intro, so hi everyone. I guess that's what we'll have to suffice for now. 2020, huh? Great year. But no conventions, no meetups, nowhere to go when it comes to meeting your homies, and problems with traveling, with both the logistics of this and the fact that most of us are probably broke. I'm definitely broke, so most of us are probably just looking for ideas how to survive this year and what can we do to continue with the hobby in a safe manner and without having to break the social distancing rules and without having to travel, because that's the trickiest part in here, and I'm probably not the only person that feels much better not doing so if not absolutely necessary. So boy oh boy, was I happy to see this trend pop up on Instagram one day. Not entirely sure where it exactly started, although I've seen a couple of Polish cosplayers starting to post those groups on their accounts, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is friggin' genius. Because I'm pretty sure that the idea of those collabs is not exactly new, although it's definitely gaining on popularity right now, and I had the pleasure of joining one of those collaboration projects recently, so I would like to talk about this a little, because I'm quite sure that a lot of us will use a good idea of how to get inspired and stay active during this year. I do know how hard it is sometimes to get motivation from somewhere to finish a project without a sort of deadline or a sort of event to get this done by. So without a date or anything like this, I'm finding this very hard to do something just for myself sometimes. Well, quite often actually. So to say that this idea is simply genius is an understatement. Because also, even if any convention manages to take place this year, I would definitely wear a mask all the time anyway, and it's kind of tricky with certain costumes and makeup. And certainly not ideal for photo shoots as well, because if you need to get from point A to point B, where the shooting location is, and you done your makeup before, 100% is gonna get smashed and all that stuff. So figuring how to take better pictures at home is definitely my goal for this year. And I've noticed that it's pretty much the same for a lot of people on social media right now, because basically most recent smartphones are good enough for this, so it's much easier to find partners for cosplay groups right now, which is friggin' great, because obviously, you know, it eliminates the problem of talking to strangers in public places, and I'm pretty sure that it's not exactly an uncommon problem with us. I mean, I also love meeting new people, although I always find it easier to get in contact with someone through DMs before I see them in person, because honestly I stopped counting how many times I kinda lost an opportunity to talk to someone I admire on a convention or something like this, because I'm just like way too friggin' awkward in public. I'm doing my best, but you know, like, I've been at this since 2007, and it's definitely a skill that a lot of people develop through their whole lifetime, if that makes sense. It's completely different when I'm working or like working an event or something like this versus I am somewhere just as a visitor and I don't know anyone. I mean, I usually end up adopted by people by some way of blessing or another, although first hour or so is always friggin' hell. Like, even if you go to fandom meets and stuff like this, I have so many stories about those that is probably gonna turn out into like a storytime playlist at one point, although I have such a big backlog of videos from last year and this year that I'm slowly gonna be plowing through this and just editing this into videos at this point. So that's definitely an idea for later. Although yeah, let me get into how this group actually came to be. For quite a while I've been looking for something to motivate me to get back to crafting and like getting excited for stuff, because I've been doing my best to at least do small things and like, you know, baby steps to not get overwhelmed, although I've been tackling a lot of stuff that I couldn't finish in a way. So Tyrene is probably a very good example of this, because I was trying to get back into crafting this cosplay for quite a while, although I was always getting distracted by something. And at one point, Tynchak or Taina, one of my friends, proposed a Pokemon group, so the Evolutions group, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, because, you know, that's something that doesn't require any money actually. I can just like use the stuff that I have at home, and that's something that I'm going to really enjoy. and do with other people. So there's this thing with keeping up with the schedule with other people, let's say. So that's also something that made it easier. So I was like, okay, let's do this, guys. It's pretty great. And obviously I'm definitely not the best person when it comes to editing pictures, because I'm literally doing my first steps of Photoshop, and boy oh boy, that takes time. So it was an immense help to have someone skillful with it to actually retouch those pictures. So thank you, Taina, I love you, my dude. Big shout out to this wonderful creature and the whole group, because I'm going to show you how everything turned out at the end. And please check out those lovely people and their Instagrams. Also, doing instant cosplays is a great recommendation if you're looking for something small to get back into crafting if you had a break, or if you're just looking to try out new things and learn new things, especially if you're not on a very high level or you're just starting out. That's always a great thing to get motivated and sort of get inspired. And let me just tell you that this is the same thing that my therapist was recommending for quite a while, so I don't think that this woman would be wrong, to be honest. Starting smaller, not to get overwhelmed with something, is probably the best approach that you can get. In all honesty, artistic hobbies aren't an easy thing, especially to get into at the very start, because there's this certain level of patience that you need to have, but you know, everything comes with time, so find something that really gives you enjoyment and just start from there, and you just cannot go wrong with that. This year really reminded me that sometimes you just really need to sit back a little and sort of get reacquainted with what you've been doing, or like get back to the roots, if that makes sense. Practicing sort of basic skills might seem mundane, but honestly, it's really worth revisiting or learning something new if you have time for this. Well, that's basically what I'm doing with the video editing and audio editing and stuff like this, because I've always sort of wanted to tackle that, but never exactly had time, nor was I in a state of mind for this. And 2020 is probably the perfect opportunity to catch up on things that I've been neglecting, but really felt like they might be useful. Also, let me take a minute for a sort of personal catch-up in here, if you don't mind. Well, where the heck do I even start right now? It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been quite a couple of months, although I don't really have to tell anyone what's been going on in the meantime. I'm sorry I just didn't announce it in any way, although it kind of felt like the world came crashing down, and I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the only person that really needed some time to sort out their feelings. Although, one thing that I did was that I just promised myself that I wouldn't succumb to depression and just do as much as humanly possible to use the time given to the best of my ability, if that makes sense. So that's gonna sound like not as much and maybe a lot, depends on the perspective, I suppose. Although in those couple months that I was gone, I managed to find a therapist, which helped immensely, that's for sure. I was lucky enough to actually get antidepressants prescribed literally right before the lockdowns in Germany started. So that definitely helped me survive that. And you know, thanks to the fact that I got that medicine, I also swore that I won't touch alcohol again, because I also had a couple of troubles and problems that I had to address in the meantime. And also thanks to this, I'm 4 months sober, so yay, that's definitely something that helped a lot. And you know, I don't want to talk too much before getting to like the meat of this dish in here. Let me just sum up by saying that it is definitely a harsh year for most of us, although I'm definitely sure that if we look into things that we either always wanted to do, or we didn't have time to address or work on or tackle a new hobby or something like this, that's definitely time for this now. And you know, I'm back, which I'm very happy about, and I really hope that you guys are also finding at least those little things to be happy about in this interesting year. I don't want to be swearing too much or anything like this, but you know what I'm talking about. Let me just get into what I actually came here to do. One thing before I forget, I would link all my socials in the description down below, and there are also a couple of ways you can support me and my works. And also I will be updating my Etsy store very soon, and I made a lot of cool face masks that some of you might be interested in, and I will also be listing things like props that I made before and can be made up to order if you would like to own something like this made by me. And I also take commissions, so don't be afraid, you can always shoot me a DM. And a quick shout out to the author of those wonderful designs that we used as our reference picture. And honestly, I'm very tempted to make a full cosplay based on this. Although those beautiful Gijinka ideas are a work of Dollightful, and you can find her both here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I must stress that I'm low-key obsessed right now, and thanks Taina for showing those off to us, because now I have a lot of stuff to watch.